Hello everyone, welcome to Homeschool. And we all know that we are with the chapter Control and Coordination. So in my previous videos, we discussed basic introduction about control and coordination and about a special hero of the entire system called neuron, isn't it? So we also discussed how information passes from one neuron to another neuron. Okay, and today we are going to discuss about the human brain. First and foremost, let us try to discuss how to draw a human brain easily. Okay, guys. First and foremost, let us try to put two curves. Okay, this is one curve, and this is another curve. See, the first curve, I'm connecting it like this. Okay, so this shape must come very nicely. The second curve. Okay, so this is how initially I have drawn a curve. One more curve, I connected both the curves. Okay, and after that, let me put one small structure like this. Okay, and after that put and show it like this, a small curved structure once again. Okay, fine, and observe carefully. See, I'm putting a curved line actually, one two curves, right? And then like this, bring it here. Similarly from this end also, like that only. Okay, bring it here, right? And after that, the inside part, this part also in a same shape almost. See, I'm just joining. Okay, like this. Right? Okay. And now observe here carefully. See, from here, one tree-like structure you have to draw actually. Tree-like structure. Okay, and one more outline for this tree you have to draw outline. Then just shade that outline, or you can put a thin lines. Okay, this is your outline for that tree shaped thing, and then some branches also try to show for this tree. Okay, then like this, break it. Yes, something like this. Okay, some branches. Fine. Okay, and this is the major outline, guys. And after that, just this area, this is a bigger part of a brain actually. See, some curves I'm giving for this area. This is very important to draw. Okay, and very easy also. You don't need to struggle too much to draw the brain. Something like this. Okay, and then some Y-shaped structures, just something like this, right? Yeah. Okay, so this is your major thing about a brain. And now just some coverings I am showing you. Like these are, the protective coverings actually. Brain is a very delicate organ, isn't it? So definitely it has to be protected with many layers. These protective layers are called as meninges. Anyway, later we will study about these meninges. Okay, so just 3 layers I am showing you, thin layers. Okay, then you see something like this, protective layers, that's it, right? So this is your human brain. Okay, and now try to label the parts, and you see this part which is having a curvy shaped things, you know, this is a major part of a brain which we call it as cerebrum. This is cerebrum. Okay, and this tree shaped structure is there, no, this is called cerebellum. Many of the children will get confused here. You should label the parts perfectly, and this part is cerebrum and this tree shaped structure is cerebellum. Okay, and now you know, this part, actually speaking, brain is divided into three parts. Okay, let me first tell you the parts. Brain, human brain consists of three parts. Okay, first one is forebrain. Forebrain. Second one, midbrain. And finally, hindbrain. Hindbrain. Okay, say for example, if this is your brain, if I cut this part, okay, that inside, if I cut this part, that inside part is what I have drawn. Okay, so in that, and this portion is there, no, this portion, cerebellum, full this area is called cerebrum. Okay, so this cerebrum is called as forebrain, front side of the brain. Okay, fore in the sense what, front, right? And you know, this part, this is what we call midbrain. This is midbrain. Okay, and this entire thing from here, this entire thing, cerebellum, including cerebellum, the entire thing is called hindbrain, backside of the brain. Okay, lower end of the brain, actually, hindbrain. Okay, so and now this is a midbrain, and now the entire thing is called hindbrain. Okay, so in this, you know, this area is called pons, and this area, the stem region, okay, the stem region is called medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. Okay, you should remember the scientific terms, guys, they are very important. Okay, and now here this part is actually called as hypothalamus. Okay, so this part is called as hypothalamus. Okay, and you know, this part, this curved thing is there, no, this is called as pituitary gland. This is called pituitary gland. Okay, just they are certain glands which can secrete certain chemicals. Okay, so I told you many of the activities, many of the processes like growing in height, developing secondary characters, you know, all these are controlled by chemicals, I said, isn't it? So those chemicals can also be secreted in a brain itself. Okay, so from these parts like hypothalamus, pituitary, these are all certain organs or certain things which can able to secrete the chemicals. Okay, so which helps in various processes, actually. Okay, so this is all about the human brain, and this much labeling you must able to understand very clearly. Okay, so what is this? Cerebrum, the entire part, this is called forebrain. Okay, front side of the brain. And then this is a midbrain, and later the whole amount from here, the entire thing is called as hindbrain. Okay, so from here the entire thing is called hindbrain. So in the hindbrain, what and all you will find? Hindbrain is again divided into three parts, actually. One is cerebellum, pons, and medulla oblongata. Okay, anyway, each and every part let us try to discuss one by one. Okay, so first and foremost, let us discuss about the forebrain. So forebrain, that is you know, the topmost view, or the first part, very important part of the brain is forebrain, which consists cerebrum. Okay, so forebrain consist cerebrum, Okay, so what cerebrum can do? The duties of cerebrum is too much. I can say cerebrum is actually a thinking part of a brain. Okay, so which is called as a thinking part of a brain? Cerebrum is called thinking part of a brain. And what actually the brain is? Brain is actually the main coordinating part. Main coordinating, okay, main coordinating part of a body. Yes or no? So the main manager of a body, each and everything, most of the things are managed by this particular brain. That's the reason brain is called the main coordinating part of a body. Its weight is about 1.3 kgs and it is made up of millions of neurons. Okay, so many nerves like comes out from brain, especially the cranial nerves will come out from a brain. Okay, fine. So under that, the forebrain consists of cerebrum, the whole part, this curvy thing, whatever I have written, this biggest part of a brain, that is called cerebrum. Okay, and the cerebrum is called thinking part of a brain. Okay, and what it can do is it can maintain all mental abilities. Okay, got to know. And it is a seat of intelligence and memory. Right, the moment you look at a person, like you will come to know whether you know that person or not. It is stored. If you know that person, his picture would have stored in your memory, so the memory box will be there in the cerebrum part. And how intelligent are you, how much things you can remember, how easily you can remember, all these things depend on how nice cerebrum you have actually. Okay, so if you have a very strong and very well defined cerebrum, then I can say like you are more intelligent and your memory is too good. And this memory varies from a person to person, isn't it? Some people can remember few things very nicely and some people do not remember certain things. So it's all slightly varies, not too much of difference you have, very little difference you have between one person to another person. It all depends on the cerebrum part. Okay, so cerebrum part has a seat of intelligence and memory actually. Clear? And all voluntary actions are controlled by cerebrum. Voluntary actions are controlled by cerebrum. Okay, so what do you mean by voluntary actions? Voluntary actions in the sense actions that depend on thinking process. Actions that depend on thinking process. Like, say for example, if you want to walk, first you should think that you have to walk, and also you should think that when to stop walking. If you want to talk, it depends on your thinking process. If you want to stop talking, your brain has to tell you to stop by sending a signal. Whichever activities that you do, and if they depend on your thinking process, so those processes are controlled by which part of a brain? Cerebrum part of a brain. Okay, so examples for voluntary actions is talking, walking, right? All physical activities, jumping, running, okay, lifting your hand, drinking, eating, all these physical activities that you do it with hands and legs, these are called voluntary actions, and these actions are under your control. Yes or no? So if you feel like eating, you will eat it. It's your wish. It can be controlled. If you feel like walking, you can walk. Yes, so it depends on your thinking process. So whichever the actions that depends on your thinking process, they are called as voluntary actions. Okay, so these voluntary actions are always controlled by cerebrum part of the forebrain. Okay, fine. And you know, one more important duty that can be performed by cerebrum is it can able to understand. It can able to understand various things from sense organs. Okay, say for example, if I pinch your skin, you know, the signal automatically goes to brain. I told to which part of the brain it will go. It will go to the cerebrum part of the brain. So whatever happens, whatever stimuli is given to the sense organs, you know, this stimuli is straight away going, and where it is getting understood and processed, you know, in the brain, that particular part is what we call cerebrum. Okay, so these are the various duties performed by cerebrum. Once again, let us try to revise. Cerebrum can able to maintain all mental abilities, and this is the main site of intelligence and memory. You know, the memory box and intelligent box would be there in cerebrum area. All voluntary, like all physical activities or the activities that can be controlled by thinking process are called voluntary actions, are controlled by cerebrum area, and this cerebrum can able to understand various things, okay, from sense organs or through sense organs, right? So these are the major functions of the cerebrum area of the forebrain. Okay, now let us go for midbrain and hindbrain. See guys, both midbrain and hindbrain, okay, hindbrain controls involuntary functions. Okay, so when we discussed about the functions of cerebrum, we told that cerebrum controls the voluntary functions. What were the voluntary functions? Functions that can be controlled by our thinking process, like jumping, walking, fighting, whatever. Okay, and you know, involuntary functions in the sense, functions or the actions, I can say in simple language, actions that cannot be controlled by our thinking process. Okay, say for example, heartbeat. Okay, I'm giving examples for involuntary functions, guys. Example, heartbeat, right? And digestion, which is happening inside your body. Say heartbeat, it beats every time, every second. If you want to control the heartbeat, say you want to think, say you are thinking that your heartbeat has to get stopped. Will it stop if you think about it? No, right? Right? So it is not under your thinking ability. Yes, your thinking power is not doing that process to stop. It is not in your control. It's happening automatically within your body. So who is controlling the heartbeat and who is controlling the digestion? Say the moment you take food, definitely if you want or you don't want, willingly or unwillingly, it will get digested. Yes or no? Got to know. So if you don't want the food to get digested, if you think that digestion has to be stopped, will it get stopped just by thinking? No, right? It is not there in your hands. Right? It automatically happens inside your body. But even those things can be controlled by a part of a brain called, you know, midbrain and hindbrain. Together can do this work. You know, they will control the actions that are not there in your hands. The actions that cannot be controlled by thinking process, like, you know, the breathing, heartbeat, digestion, you know, all these things are called involuntary functions. Okay, so midbrain and hindbrain together controls the involuntary functions. Okay, and now let us see that the hindbrain is again divided into 3 parts. Okay, so I am going to tell you the parts of hindbrain. The first one is cerebellum. Okay, this is very important part. Next one, pons. Okay, and the last part of hind brain is medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. Okay, so there are three parts in hind brain: cerebellum, pons, medulla oblongata. What do you mean by cerebellum? See here, this tree-shaped structure is there, no? This is called cerebellum. So what does a cerebellum do? The main function of cerebellum is maintains. This guy can maintain body posture and body balance. Yes, say for example, you are cycling. When you cycle, you should able to maintain your body, isn't it? You should able to balance the body. Okay, body balancing thing and all is looked after by cerebellum. Okay, and say for example, you are walking on a very thinner wall. Say the wall is very thin and you want to walk on that. Say what happened? You should able to balance it. Slowly, by balancing your body parts, you should able to walk. Say circus people will walk on a rope in a circus, right? Say how do they walk, guys? By balancing their body in a greater amount, isn't it? So they keep slowly, they balance all the body parts and they keep walking, right? So this body balancing thing is looked after by which part of the brain? Cerebellum. So if your cerebellum is too good, you can balance your body very, very nicely. Say in some yoga poses, when people do yoga, they keep balancing their body in certain posture, right? In certain pose. And when you dance also, you need to able to balance your body in certain steps, isn't it? So all these things can be done in, cerebellum part of a brain. Okay, so where is this cerebellum present? It is one of the part in hind brain. Okay, lower part of a brain. Here, fine. And coming to the pons, this pons actually regulates respiration. Even breathing process also, it is to some extent, it is not in our control. We keep breathing without our thinking process only, right? We actually don't think and breathe. It automatically happens, isn't it? So do you always think of your breathing? Can you be able to stop your breathing for a longer time? No, right? For few minutes we can stop. But if you stop it, can you be able to stop for hours together? No. It will automatically happen and it should happen. This is not in your control, right? So pons, where is pons? See, pons is this. Pons is this area of hind brain. This guy can control the breathing process, or I can say it will control the respiration. Okay, fine. And coming to the most important part of hind brain, that is medulla oblongata. Okay, and this medulla oblongata controls the involuntary actions. Okay, it controls heartbeat. It controls heartbeat, blood pressure, BP, blood pressure, digestion, etc. Okay, say the heartbeat, every time the heart beats, and it should beat, isn't it? And if you want to control, if you think to control the heartbeat, you can't control, it's not there in your hand. It automatically happens within your system. Okay, it doesn't depend on your thinking abilities. If you think that heartbeat should get stopped, it cannot happen. If you think that your heartbeat should increase more and more, it will not happen. This heartbeat, controlling this heartbeat depends on what part of the brain? It depends on medulla oblongata. Okay, so medulla oblongata controls heartbeat, blood pressure, digestion, etc. Okay, and one more thing, this medulla oblongata can control, okay, some more actions. The actions can be, it can control sneezing, okay, vomiting, coughing, Okay, coughing. Say for example, when you have to sneeze, akshi, right? Say if you want to control, can you be able to control? We can't. It's not there in our hand. Okay, but this sneezing thing, vomiting thing, coughing thing can be controlled and it is maintained. This type of activities are maintained by whom? It is maintained by medulla oblongata. Okay, so these are the three parts of hind brain and their functions. This is a very important topic for board examination point of view. Okay, so this is all about the different parts of brain. And now let us study how is this delicate organ, that is brain, is protected. So brain is very important. After seeing the various functions of different parts of a brain, and now that particular organ has to be protected every time, every minute. Yes, and it's a very delicate organ, and this has to be protected very nicely. So how this brain is protected inside a head region, this is what we will discuss now. See, protection of brain. Remember guys, brain is always protected in a bony, very hard bony structure called skull. Okay, protected. It is protected in a bony structure called skull. Okay, skull is very hard, right? Say when you observe a skeletal system, say the dead body skeletal system, you will observe a skull here, right? So inside a skull the brain would be there. Okay, so all this, if you touch our head, it's very hard, isn't it? Wherever you touch, head region, wherever you touch, it's very hard. This hard bony thing is what we call it as skull. Okay, say this area is called the skull. Okay, and inside a skull, what is there inside a skull? Inside a skull, directly the brain is not there. Again, you have three soft layers. Okay, soft layers. And those layers are called meninges. Okay, inside a skull, there are three soft layers called meninges. Okay, meninges. Actually, I have put so many layers here. Yes or no? Say these layers are called meninges. Okay, and between one layer and another layer, a slight gap would be there. Okay, and that gap is actually filled with a liquid called cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, so what I can write is gaps between meninges. What do you mean by meninges, guys? Layers. Okay, so gaps between meninges is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, cerebrospinal fluid. Clear, everybody? And why a fluid is filled in that gaps of meninges? It is to provide buoyancy for the brain. It is to protect the brain. Okay, say for example, whenever you want to pack glass items, okay, glass items are very delicate, isn't it? And if you want to pack them, you will take lots of care. Like you will keep that in a box, and where you will cover the glass with the papers and some sponges, isn't it? So why you keep the sponges and papers to cover the glass items? It is to protect, because it's very delicate. So similarly, the brain is protected in these layers, where the layers between there is a gap between the layers. So that gap is filled with the fluid. It is just to give that, protection for the brain. Okay. So the duty of this cerebrospinal fluid is to protect the brain. Okay, by creating buoyancy. Buoyancy is a property for a fluid. Isn't it? Say for example, you take a glass of water, you dip egg or you dip a ball. When the moment you dip an egg into a water with high speed, will the egg breaks down in the water? No, right? It starts flowing. It is in a protected condition. It starts flowing. That is what we call buoyancy. Okay, so by creating that buoyancy, you can actually protect the brain. So that is the main purpose and duty of cerebrospinal fluid. So this is how you can protect the brain, guys. Okay, so first and foremost, you have a hard bony structure called skull. So inside a skull, you will have mainly the three layers. We call it as meninges, and between the layers, you actually have a gap, and that gap is filled with a liquid called cerebrospinal fluid. And what is its duty? It creates buoyancy to protect the brain. Okay, fine. So this is all about the human brain, its parts, functions, and the way it got protected inside a head region. Okay,
this is what the top view of brain actually. See, you have a partition in a brain, isn't it? So this partition you can observe. This side is one hemisphere, the other side is called another hemisphere. Right hemisphere, left hemisphere. Okay, but when one of the hemisphere is cut, it looks like this. This is inside the brain. If I cut that half apart, this is how it looks like. And as I clearly explained in the picture that was written on a board, you see this folded area, the entire folded area is called cerebrum. Okay, and this leaf-like tree-like structure, whatever is there, this is called cerebellum. Okay, and this is your midbrain. So the cerebrum is nothing but the forebrain, isn't it? So this is your midbrain. Okay, and from here everything, including this tree and this stem and everything, is called as hindbrain. Okay, and this is what your pons, and this stem, this is brain stem, we call it as medulla oblongata, which connects to the spinal cord. Okay, so this is the internal structure of a brain.
And in my next class, let us talk about the spinal cord. Okay, so under a central nervous system, we spoke about a brain, and now we are talking about the spinal cord. And let us talk about what functions are there for spinal cord, what duties that it can perform inside a body. Okay, so with this I complete the session. Revise the topics and carefully and definitely every word and every sentence that I have written on a board have to be noted, guys. I can assure you that this is the best running notes that you can ever find anywhere. Okay, so if you can write this running notes neatly, I can say that the whole chapter is in your hand. The whole concept is in your hand. Okay, fine. So thank you so much. If you like our video, please like, share and subscribe our channel to learn the concepts in an easier way and in a detailed way. Thank you.